for a quick of our Torah. In this week's parsha, we cover the uniform of the Kohanim, the priests. They all had to wear the same clothes. So you might wonder, what's up with that? Can't you just express yourself like you want to wear something, or like we have guys here who come with a tallis which is very colorful, we don't say anything, etc. Why do they have to wear the same thing? And we also get a notice what the high priest, the Kohen Gadol, has to wear. Everything is uniform. So there's a lot of ideas going on here. One is that, yes, they're the priests, they operate in the tabernacle, later in the temple, but they are interchangeable. You know, sort of like in the military, everybody wears a uniform because soldiers are soldiers. And when there's a higher ranking soldier, an officer, you salute them. But you're not saluting the person. You're saluting the rank. Okay? It's a very different idea. It's a very important concept. The Kohen Gadol, the high priest, had to behave a certain way because of what he was wearing. Now, when he wasn't wearing these clothes, when he was sort of like in civilian dress, as it were, he didn't have to be so careful. But while he was wearing the Big Day Kahuna, the clothing of the high priest, he had to be aware that everybody was watching him. And you add to it, because of this, he had to also be aware that even when he wasn't on duty, as it were, everybody was watching him because of his office. He held an office, and he had to be aware of it. And people had to be aware of this as well. They had to treat him as such. Interesting that, for instance, we have a rabbi here. It would never occur to me to refer to the rabbi by his first name. He is Rabbi Schwartz. That's how I know him. Because he is the rabbi of the synagogue. He is our leader, so to speak, our spiritual leader. Many years ago, it was on a Rosh Hashanah, a fellow came up to me and said, "You know, Alan would like to speak to you." And I said, "Who?" He said, "Alan would like to speak to you." And I said, "Who?" And this is sort of like a routine. Finally, he said, "The rabbi would like to speak to you." I said, "Well, why didn't you say so?" He said, "Well, I always call him by the first name." I say, "I have too much respect for the rabbi to do that. I think the only person who can call him by his first name would probably be his wife, and that's about it." But this is something that we have to remember, that you take on duty. And remember also, in the Torah view, being a leader means you're responsible. You are being limited in your actions. You are responsible not only for your actions, but for everybody's actions. Remember that if somebody commits an accidental murder and has to run to the cities of refuge, they are there until the high priest dies. So what does the high priest have to do with this accidental murder? He was nowhere near it. He had nothing to do with it, so to speak. Because if he had been doing his job correctly, the accidental murder would not have taken place. He is responsible for all of the Jewish people. And that's how we have to look at our leaders. They are responsible to us as our leaders. It's not that we pray to them. Something that we always have to bear in mind, that when you get rank in Judaism, it is not that you can lord it over somebody. You are responsible not only for your own actions, but for others. Something to think about.